Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 9. So heading into the final season of The Flash, a lot of people expect it to be very fan service filled, whether that be from beginning to end or just in certain moments throughout those final 13 episodes that we're getting. And in some cases, you could see them, have some creative liberty and merge certain expectations together in order to, kill two birds with one stone, at least in a writing sense. Now, two characters that people maybe don't expect 100%, to show up, but would like to see them show up in The Flash's ninth and final season are that of Oliver Queen and Red Death. And in some cases, people think the two, should be one. Now, this has been a discussion and theory really ever since Red Death was brought up on the show and who would be behind the mask. But due to the Cobalt Blue video I did the other day, people did link me to another theory that they wanted me to go over, so I am obliging. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Very curious to hear what you guys think about this, just because I'm sure it might be varied. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down there. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support, you're looking forward to The Flash's ninth and final season, why not drop a like on the video to show support? Now, this theory comes from Charles Raymond over at Screen Rant, and as you can see by the title, Oliver Queen is the Flash Season 9's villain. Bizarre Arrowverse theory explained. So, of course, we are going to go over this and give our thoughts whether we think it's good, as well as the likelihood of it actually being a thing in the near future. But yeah, as I said, leave your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Some of you might love it, some of you might hate it. But yeah, let's go over it. And we will sum up certain parts of it just because it, can drag on. A wild theory postulates that Stephen Amell's Oliver Queen will emerge as a Season 9 villain for Barry Allen in The Flash. It's been suggested that if Amell were to return for the Arrowverse's swan song, it would be to pay off a villain tease from a Season 5 episode. Currently, there's no official word on who will be the main antagonist of The Flash's final season. Setup exists for DC Comics villain Cobalt Blue to join the Arrowverse as the next avatar of the Negative Speed Force, but that hardly means he'll be the only noteworthy opponent of Team Flash in Season 9. The Flash's showrunner Eric Wallace has confirmed that the character teased in the Season 8 finale is one of at least two big bads. Any more than two is hard to imagine, especially since it's been announced that The Flash will only get a 13-episode story to end the series. One of the Flash Season 9's villains is obviously Cobalt Blue, whereas the identity of the other is open to speculation. The tie-in comic Earth Prime did set up Bloodwork, but it didn't seem to set him up as a main villain, and there's also Reverse Flash, who you just expect to show up, especially in a final season. Where that happens is a wait and see. However, neither of those characters could be the second big bad mentioned by Eric Wallace. If they do appear, they could potentially end up with 1 or 2 episode arcs. Instead, The Flash could be gearing up for an all-new threat for Barry and his team. Here's why the show could bring back Amell to play a villainous version of his Arrowverse hero. Now, The Flash surprised viewers in the Season 5 episode Memorabilia when it name-dropped a DC Comics character who goes by the moniker of Red Death. The reference came in a recording made in the future by Captain Singh when he was talking about Cicada's Reign of Terror. He did reveal that the villain's kill count is even higher than that of both Zoom and even the Red Death. If Red Death were to ever appear in The Flash, there's a strong chance that he'll differ greatly from his comic counterpart. Crisis on Infinite Earths proves that DC has been willing to allow the Arrowverse to use alternate reality versions of Bruce Wayne in at least some capacity, and also even just name drop Batman. But going as far as making him the Flash Season 9's villain doesn't really, seem plausible. Also, he wouldn't really be a great fit for the story because there's no real personal connection between Grant Gustin's Flash and whoever this Bruce Wayne or Batman would be in regards to a visual sense. But while that aspect of the situation with the whole Bruce Wayne stuff could complicate any plan to use Red Death, the concept itself could still work, albeit with a different hero. In many ways, Oliver Queen served as the Arrowverse's answer to Batman, especially in earlier seasons. Not only that, but Green Arrow's personal relationship with the Flash makes him a viable choice to be the Arrowverse's Red Death. There is no denying the emotional significance that a battle between Barry and an evil Oliver Queen would carry if it were to unfold in The Flash Season 9. Multiple theories explain how the Flash could go about turning Oliver into the Red Death in the Arrowverse. Perhaps the simplest way of doing it is to follow the comic books. At first, it appeared that Crisis on Infinite Earths took the multiverse away and just took it off the table, but by revealing that it exists in a separate world, Superman and Lois has shown that this plot device is still an option. With that being the case, it could easily be an Earth where Oliver deduces that he needs a Speed Force to save the city or save his city, and inadvertently kickstarts his Red Death journey, by getting corrupt or something like that. He could accomplish this by fusing with his world's Barry Allen, or perhaps even the Reverse Flash. Either way, setting the story up through a parallel universe may be the only way for it to make sense. After all, Earth Prime Oliver Queen is dead, and even if it, could revive him, transforming that particular version of his character into Red Death would risk ruining his ending. Regardless of the fact that this wouldn't be the Oliver Queen that Barry knows, fighting his evil doppelganger would be challenging for Team Flash in more ways than one. Adding to the emotion of it all would be Oliver's fighting skills. Combining that element of the character with the Speed Force would undoubtedly make him the deadliest speedster Barry has ever fought. As unlikely as this scenario seems for the Flash's final story, an encounter between Barry and an evil Oliver Queen would be a truly special and unique way of bringing this show to a close. The Flash Season 9 marks an ending to the series and the Arrowverse as a whole, which makes it all the more fitting for the CW to find a way to bring Amel back. A cameo in the series finale feels like a more logical route for the series to make, or to take, but the Red Death theories have yet to go away, and of course, that's why we're talking about this right now. Now, my thoughts on this whole thing is that this has been a discussion, as I said earlier in the video, this has been a discussion since, I think that episode was halfway or just shortly into the back half of season 5, so what, 4 or 5 years ago? So yeah, this has been a discussion since that point, and it's continued. Red Death comes up all the time, and one of the names that's always brought up in regards to who Red Death could be is Oliver Queen. It's usually either Bruce Wayne, Kate Kane, or Oliver Queen. Those are usually the three that are brought up. And what is said in this article is pretty much the right stuff. I think, the only way you can really do it is you have it be a multiverse version, which you'd expect as well, because that's what it is in the comics as well. It's not the Batman and Barry Allen of Earth Prime in the comics that are fused and become Red Death. They're from a different Earth. So you'd expect the same to be on the show, whether it is Bruce Wayne or not. And of course, as I did bring up, and as the article does say as well, there's no real personal relationship between Barry and Bruce Wayne. There was none. Bruce died before Barry became the Flash. And if there were any sort of multiverse versions, Barry would go, okay, I think I've seen your photo in an old magazine or something like that, but I literally have no idea what you do and why you're important or anything like that. So I think making Red Death into a character that we know, whether it is Oliver Queen or someone else, is clearly the best way to go. And of course, they would most likely wear a mask, and there's no point wearing a mask if it's someone that we don't even know underneath it anyway. What's the point of that? When it was season 3 with Savitar, we knew it was someone that was going to be familiar, just because the whole mask thing. Unless you're meant to meet that person who was under the mask in an episode or two, so then by the time the mask is ripped off, you recognize that new person because you've met them, a few episodes before the reveal, most likely. But when it comes down to it, I think the only way this can work, if you do make Oliver Queen Red Death and he goes about being evil and all that stuff, killing people, whatever it is, the only way it works, where you can do it, and I think fans will be like, yes, you've done it correctly, is if there is a scene or scenes or just a complete episode with Barry and our Oliver Queen in a more positive way. That has to be a thing. So you bring in Oliver Queen as an evil killing speedster doppelganger, and that being the final thing within the Arrowverse reminder of him, it might not be the best move. Leaving a bad taste, a negative view of the character, it's not the best way to go about things. So I think if you're going to use Oliver Queen as a version of Red Death, there has to be the Earth Prime version in scenes that follow. Most likely in flashbacks, we could flashback to a time during Elseworlds or early into Crisis on Infinite Earths or another crossover, just at random points, just Barry and Oliver hanging out, maybe in that bar that we used to always see them in, and it's them having a conversation, and maybe that closes out maybe that specific episode, and then maybe there's a series finale or something like that. It has to be something along those lines to make it go down well, or it could even be Spectre that shows up. Maybe they could even have it, if they do have an evil Oliver Queen as Red Death versing Barry, that maybe Spectre comes down or appears to help take down Red Death for Barry. Maybe there's something weird with Red Death where maybe he can't be killed, but he can be weakened, but the only way to erase him from existence is something that the Spectre could do. And maybe that's how they can do it. So they have Oliver and Barry team up to take down this evil version of Oliver, who is sort of like Barry, is a speedster, which I think would actually be pretty cool now that I think about it. But yeah, it's a really touchy thing if they don't leave it in a positive way. I think if they go full on just evil version, we don't see a good version of Oliver Queen, our version, I guess, afterwards, I don't know if that's, I think it just leaves a sour taste in everyone's mouths in regards to the perception of Oliver Queen within the Arrowverse. And I think the article did bring it up. It's very important to remember this is the final season of The Flash, but it's also the final season of the Arrowverse, which makes wanting Stephen Amell appear in a cameo or an episode as Oliver Queen even more likely and I think wanted by people, but also it makes it even more important to make sure you don't leave any weird viewpoints on characters when we leave it as a whole. So it's a very touchy subject and it has to be handled pretty well, otherwise people could be quite upset. And you've seen with various comic book shows in the past that when they do end a long run, whether it's 4 seasons, whether it's 5 seasons, whether it's with The Flash 9 seasons, you know, they could have loved those previous seasons, but if you don't end it right, they can have a negative viewpoint of the show heading out of it. So yeah, especially with a character like Oliver, I think you have to handle it well. So fingers crossed that they go down this route, that it is done well. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions and everything we went over. I'm very curious to read what you guys think, especially in regards to this theory and where you can go and whether you like it or don't like it or have any changes to it. Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.